Hey everybody, welcome to another episode with Intimacy TV. My name is Mel, and oh my God, I've had the strangest couple of weeks. This last week I think it's just topped it, and I've had some really interesting conversations with a lot of different people about relationships, whether you're in one already or whether you're actually looking to get into one. And right now it's the silly season, and holy shit balls, I've seen some silly season shit happening left, right and center, to be completely honest with you. So you know, the questions that I always get asked are, you know, how do you know when to leave? So this could be that you've just met somebody online, you know, and you're just connected up with somebody. Is it the right thing? Or whether you've been with somebody for a long time. So the question is, you know, when do you leave, and why do people stay in these relationships? Because I had a conversation with somebody that I actually thought had grown, and I've known them for a while. They've got back with an ex, and, you know, their perception, you know, they were trying to tell me that, you know, oh yeah, you know, things are different now and I've grown. And, you know, I react really different now when, you know, normally if someone says something to me and, you know, and they piss me off, I just go, rah! Let me tell you, this woman makes me look like fucking fairy floss. And so I actually watched her have these multiple phone calls coming in from her partner, and on the phone, she went from you know, like she's like this all the time. And then when her partner would call up, she'd call him, hey, puppy. And she'd start talking in a baby voice, which I really don't understand the baby voice, you know, cut with the baby voice. And she'd go, oh yeah, puppy, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, look, I've got to go now. And she'd hang up. So she wouldn't yell at him on the phone. She'd get off the phone and go, oh, for fuck's sakes, you know, what the fuck? And I'm thinking, hang on, this woman that's giving me lecture and telling me about change and growth actually hasn't changed at all. So I found it really interesting looking at this relationship and watching it over quite a few hours of a day. So one of the reasons why we actually stay in a relationship, whether it's a new one or an old one, and the biggest one is called the big fat comfort zone. We're in an area that we find really comfortable, and it's better the devil you know. And we talked about the whole word settling the other day, and a lot of the times comfort zone equals settling, which is a little bit on the scary side. Another one is and I remember saying this once, was, you know, you put in the hard yards, you put in the years into this relationship. So, you know, especially if you've been with somebody that when you met them, you know, like you saw that they had potential, and this is really bad languaging, but this is experience, guys. So you go, oh, I've met someone that got great potential, and you put in the hard yards and you put it in and everything, and you go, oh my God, you know, this guy's coming good, and if I leave, then you're going to, you know, the next woman's going to get all your hard work. Okay, now I have literally said that one, and I was just like, oh my God, the next woman that gets you, she's going to be so lucky, because you're house trained, you're bedroom trained, you're, you know, you've now, you know, finally got out of uni and you've got yourself a decent career because I've supported you in that. So I put in the hard yards, so why would I leave? Okay, so that's a big one. Another one is look, you might just be in a toxic relationship, but toxic relationships normally work as a to and fro. So you tend to stay in this toxic relationship because you're feeding it, and you're feeding each other, but you're feeding each other in quite a toxic way, and you just don't understand what a healthy relationship could be. And that can come down to your blueprint. So we talk about the blueprint a lot. What is your blueprint? So some of us, our relationships are the sum of the way that we brought up and what we witnessed our parents doing. So if our parents never showed any physical connection, emotional connection, if they're always standoffish and they never kissed or they cuddled in front of you, the relationships that you're going to have as an adult are going to reflect that, because you actually don't know any different. So if you've grown up in a toxic household and there's always fighting and yelling and things like that, and I've got a funny feeling my camera is about to fall. So if you've you know, you've grown up in that kind of environment, you're going to find that you are going to repeat that relationship. So if someone is treating you like shit, it's actually going to look quite normal to you. Or if you grew up with an alcoholic parent, being an alcoholic yourself is not going to be an uncommon thing. So this is another reason why we will stay, longer than we actually should. You could be walking on eggshells in your relationship and you're going, all right, well, tread lightly. I don't want to rock the boat, So that's another big one. And you might be in a relationship that's what I call the me relationship. So it's all about you and it's about getting your needs met, which actually was this person that I was with this weekend. Her relationship was her rules. She talks to me about compromise. I'm thinking, I don't see a fucking thing that you're doing this, which is compromising, other than the fact that you talk to your partner in a baby voice on the phone and you're going to, and then when you get off the phone, you're like, fuck, he shits me. And I'm thinking, and it always had to be on her terms, the way she liked. And he was just a little upset because, they'd made plans to go to the movies and she was just throwing him out the window, didn't give two shits about how he felt. So are you in a me relationship? So the question that I used to ask myself was, when do you draw the line in the sand? I really struggle with that one, especially when you're in a long-term relationship. And I go, when is enough? Where is that freaking line? And I remember each time where I went, oh, hello, there you are. And I found that line in the sand. And I went, I absolutely refuse to be in a relationship where someone is treating me like shit, or it's all about them and their needs and there is no compromise. That I'm done with walking on eggshells because it's exhausting. I'm done being in a toxic relationship. And you know what? The comfort zone is where you should not be. Let me explain to you guys what comfort zone is. Comfort zone is called death. It's called the death road. It's called no growth. So when you're in comfort zone, you can't grow. So the more uncomfortable you get in life, okay, the more challenges that you partake on in that journey of life, the more that you grow as a person. And growth is exactly where you want to go. So comfort zone equals, yes, Bernard, death. All right. It is a nice, long, slow, boring ass death. Okay. So if you're in a relationship where purely you're there for a comfort zone, you need to get out of your comfort zone. You need either to do something to shake it up or you need to shit the fuck out. It's that simple, guys, because that is not a reason to stay with someone, because it's actually quite selfish. Sometimes, we talk about, is it selfish to stay or is it selfish to go? When you're staying in a relationship that is purely a friendship, okay, you're friends. Don't live together. Don't stay together. A friendship has longevity here, but it doesn't have longevity here. And this is a relationship. This is a love relationship or a sexual relationship or an emotional or an intimate relationship. How can you actually spend the rest of your life with someone that you only call your best friend? Best friend isn't enough, okay? That's comfort zone. And what you're doing is you're doing a disservice to the other person because you're staying in a comfort zone. Now, I actually have got someone that I know, and they've had a sexless relationship, and I come across this all the time for over a decade, okay? And she actually wants him to cheat on her, so she feels okay to leave. My reaction to that is, what a waste of time, because you are actually, if you're really, and you're saying, oh, we're great traveling together and living together and he's my best friend, that's fabulous. However, you're doing him a disservice because you're taking away an opportunity for him to find somebody that is going to be nuts about him. Another woman's going to be nuts about him and love him the way that he deserves to be loved and treated. So, sorry, my camera keeps slipping. Why would you stay in something that's just a comfort zone with your best friend? It isn't enough. Okay, when I say sexless relationship, I come across it all the time. 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, it's just not right. Okay, so comfort zone is what happened. So sometimes you need to use your intuition. And I know that's a little bit easier, with women to understand how to tap into that intuition. But when something doesn't feel right, guys, it generally isn't right. I've had a business relationship where I literally had to step back, and this is what I recommend: step back out of the situation and be an external observer. Okay, and see what's really going on in the dynamics, because relationships are very similar to business relationships. You'd be surprised. Some people say, oh, this is like a contract, and it's like, well, relationships it is a little bit about business, and it's got to be about compromise. It can't be a me relationship. It doesn't work that way. So sometimes you need to step back. And when you step back from the situation, you'll find that the signs will come to you naturally to show you where the line in that sand is. And that, I think, is really, really important. If both of you aren't willing to learn and grow, and I'm not talking about forcing it upon somebody as an ultimatum, if you aren't within the relationship willing to learn and grow, there's your line in the sand, okay? Because what happens is that communication is vital, and your values are going to be very, very vital in regards to the longevity of a good relationship. However, if you aren't going to grow, let me tell you what happens. We've already spoken about your blueprint. So your blueprint can really determine what your relationships are going to be like as an adult. But if you don't learn and grow, guys, because relationships are stepping stones, it's okay to be in one and break up and be in another one and break up. That's okay. That's part of life. It's a journey. However, one thing you don't want to be doing is repeating the pattern. And this is what's going to happen, because if you haven't learned and grown from that relationship, you're going to keep repeating exactly the same relationship. So if you do step back and you go, there's something very familiar about this, there's definitely some patterns that are happening here, then that's a massive issue, and that's when you need to go and learn and grow. So you need to source maybe something else to help you to learn and grow, and get yourself a coach or something like that. Now I'm reading, what have you got here, Bernard? Purpose changes, but values remain. Values are very important. If you don't have aligned values, you don't have a relationship that has got good longevity. It's just that simple, guys. Now, one of the things, here, this is a little note I put to myself. As soon as you want to get deep in a relationship, so you've met someone, let's just say this is a little bit more new, and you want to get deeper in this relationship, all right, then your issues will start coming up. So every single personal issue that you've got will come up, because everything is like a freaking mirror, and this is just the way the universe works. So when do you want to, when do you work out when to go? All right, so if you communicate with your partner and they're not openly wanting to grow, okay, and learn, then there's your issue, and there's your line in the sand, because then it's a one-sided relationship, and it will always stay a one-sided relationship. So get out of your comfort zone, guys. Comfort zone equals death, all right? Forget about the fact that I've done the hard yards and someone else is going to reap the rewards of all my work of making that person amazing. Get rid of that shit too. That it doesn't actually work, by the way. Toxic relationships, why? Why would you want to be in a toxic relationship and stop being a toxic person yourself? Because we're in toxic relationships because sometimes we're quite toxic. And that's the mirror that we don't like to admit to. If you have constant dramas, why? I've got such a short threshold now of dramas. I don't do drama kings or queens. I just don't do it. It's fucking boring, okay? If you're walking on eggshells, if it's a me relationship, out. That is when you know when to pull the pin. You don't communicate well. You don't have aligned values. The person isn't wanting to grow and learn with you. Get the out is what I say, because there are so many fish out in the sea. There are so many amazing people out there. There is somebody for everyone. Relationships are a stepping stone to growth and learning, guys. So don't be scared. Even in the silly season when some of the crazies are out, and boy, have I seen in the last fortnight, and I told you, I've had the weirdest conversations with people, and I've just gone, I'm actually looking at going to a silence retreat for a few days when I go away, because I don't want to talk to humans anymore, because I'm just like, you guys are all nuts. So don't be shy anyway of the silly season, and what